Sam Shar, hello, and one resident, hi. Sam, my cryptocurrency friend. That's right. Yes. Holy cow. It's a beautiful game. Oh! Okay, let me post. All right, so first things first. Well, this is actually for. I'm working with someone to help me kind of just improve the general UI layout. Like it's really. I think for the most part it's good, but there's just kind of like little things here and there that are a little awkward, with spacing. So I just thought, it'd be great if they could kind of look it over, edit it. Like I have the general feel of it down, but some parts of it don't really work that well. Okay, this is done. So let us move on to what I was working on last night. So, back to number one. Oh, really, really happy to see this. Beautiful game. This is a really tough list to break into, man. Oh, this game is doing very well. Oh. Pre-purchase now? I don't know. It's an Assassin's Creed game. This looks interesting. Hat in Time. Overwhelmingly positive. Call of Duty, World War II, Rocket League, Gold Rush, the game. Yeah, interesting. Bonsoir, Kawachino. Ça va? Okay, so let's get back into this. Let's get back to work. Looks good. You know what, let me move this here. So I generally want to avoid gaps that are like 0.25. Man, I'm so glad Arthur added that tool to visualize the shader. Okay, so this is, so we got it. This is basically what I'm trying to do is I've got this list of stuff that needs to get redesigned. Let me switch to a large camera scene so you guys can see. It's we've got buttons, we've got a laser, controller, mirror, dark area, tower, water fountain, Mandela room, Mandela model, doors, laser, towers, glass cage, cube receiver, and dark tree base. So that's about 11 art things that need to get improved. So what I'm going through right now is basically designing them and then handing them off to the artist for polish and animation. I think so. One thing I've learned is that it's like, now I understand why people have design documents, because it's actually really difficult to have everybody be on the same page and to kind of communicate your ideas. And the thing for me is I've just sort of internalized a lot of this stuff over the years. You know, like, I can't tell you why. Like, for example, right here, you know, this part looks bad and I'm going to change it, but I can't really, I don't know how I'd be able to explain it in words. Yeah, I don't know, that just looks a lot better. But maybe we can even not do this. Oh yeah, see. Now what's even better is this. See, that looks great. And maybe, you know what, let's even just get rid of this whole thing. No, but see, then that looks... No, you know what, I'm gonna keep that. I kind of like this. But... do you think... Alright, so something like that. That was interesting. Oh. Like something with this. I'm gonna move it here. And I'm gonna talk a bit about the inspiration. Just a bit. Huh. Yeah, not a fan of this. There we go, problem solved. Huh, that looks really good. So, yeah, let's see here. Alright guys, give me 1 second. Need to log into the Pinterest. Pinterest. Okay, so this is an architect I've been looking at a lot, Carlos Scarpa. So you can look at the way he uses these steps, right? You know, when I first learned about his work, you know, it was other people telling me about it because they said sort of some stuff I posted reminded me of his work. Huh. It's actually pretty cool. Might steal that. And people were originally like, oh, he's the Italian Frank Lloyd Wright, but really come to learn more about that. Was there oh, that is a promoted ad. I've been trying to block them out, but I don't know how to do that. Like, I love this, you know? It's just really, really lovely. His step is a little bit more... it's very different from Wright. It's like less showy. You know, he's I think the details are fantastic. Like, just the way he kind of, you know, just like that, this little bit right up here, right? Or yeah, anyway, it's still very beautiful. Yeah, I really like this piece. Anyway. Let's look at some boards. This is what I like about Pinterest, is someone's already made a mood board for you. They've already kind of done the curation. Wow, look at that, huh? We definitely need to have a room that looks like that. Okay, so, okay. Now, my other source of inspiration is from Hob. So I just show you guys this. Oh yeah, this weekend I had I do this design club thing with a bunch of other Chicago developers. It started several years ago. There were two sources of inspiration. One was so there's a conference in New York called there's a game design conference in New York called Practice, and it's organized by NYU, and it focuses solely on the design aspects of game development. So, well, game design. There's no tech talks, no marketing talks, no business talks, just like the sort of intricacies of designing systems or levels, like rule sets. And they do this thing called open problems, where, you know, it's like a 2-3 day conference, and on the first day anyone can, for like the last hour of the first day, anyone can go up and they have 5 minutes to like present a problem that they are struggling with and get everyone in the room to talk about it. And it's only 5 minutes, but why it's useful is that then everybody knows your problem, right? And so for the rest of the conference, for the next 2 days, people are thinking about it and they're talking to you about it. Like, they'll come up to you after lunch and say, you know, on the second day, and be like, hey, you know, I was thinking a lot about your problem. Like, here are some ideas. And that just, I think, makes the conversation really helpful. So my friend Bobby Lockhart, he's working on this game called Codemancer, which teaches kids how to program. He went to practice many years ago. And I went, I think, like 2-3 years ago, 2014, 2015. Bobby had gone like the prior 2 years, and he brought that back to some of our like Chicago indie meetups. So we'd have, although it hasn't really been done in a while. I haven't been going to these meetups, but we do like open mic where everyone comes up and they have, I think, like 2 minutes to present a game that they're working on, but that's different than this open problem. So anyway, I saw Bobby do that. Bobby like organized it a few times, and then also we had I also learned about this thing that Jonathan Blow organized one year. Him and like Chris Hecker and Mark Tenbosch. Chris Hecker working on Spy Party, Mark Tenbosch working on Miega Kure, and Daniel Ben-Mergui, who did he made this game Fidel Dungeon Crawler, like a dungeon crawler where you're a dog. He's also working on this another game called like Ernesto or something. Anyway, they organized a thing called Depth Jam, where they rented a cabin somewhere in California, and they all went there for a week. And they got like food, and it was catered, and they would just every day they kind of like have like intense design discussions, and then would like go work on it, and then like repeat the next day. It was just kind of was like intense design boot camp. And that was a really cool idea, and we were like, oh, we should do something like that, but we don't really want to rent a cabin and get food catered because that can get kind of pricey. And besides, we all live in the same city. So what we do is what do we initially call it? I forget maybe we called it Depth Jam as well, or like mini Depth Jam. Anyway, we call it now Design Club with a K, and like every 2-3 months we'll send out a bill to other people in the group. Like only 4 people can present, 3 or 4, because otherwise we only do it for a day, and any more than that it gets really exhausting. So, but we show up. So we'll send out bills to each other like a week before the day we meet, and then when we meet, it's about 6 hours, and we'll spend like 2 hours on each game, an hour to 2, So, and that gets really great. You kind of present the problem, and then everybody's just discussing this problem together. And it's all these other game designers, and that's been really helpful. And I did that this weekend, and I talked about some of the problems that I had. Now, I kind of covered some of these in my last stream. I think I probably talked about it on Friday. But anyway, and at the time I sort of felt like I had some solutions, but I wanted to kind of discuss with them first. So, this quote, first of all, there is no story, no impetus to advance, no direction, no objective. I don't think so I have a solution to that now, and it really is just making the core game loop much more prominent earlier on, and trying as much as possible to create a sense of mystery for the player. Because I don't think, because there is a narrative to the game. It's fairly abstract, but there is one. But it's not, I think if you deliver a story and you can use words to create a sense of mystery, and that kind of just hooks the player in a lot easier. I'm not doing that, but that doesn't mean it's like not possible. So feel like for this I have a resolution. I do think, so this is the second quote, it was not very mechanically interesting. The spaces were interesting, but nothing very interesting seemed to be happening in them. And this I also have a solution, kind of with some of the later puzzles where it's really about how the space interacts. Then about this though, regarding picking up dropping cubes, I don't think I'm going to get away from that. I am going to be adding more sort of interesting. I don't think I will get away from cubes. That is very much mechanically it is necessary, because the movement system of the game, the gravity changing, lets you go anywhere. And what making you carry an object does is it forces you to stay in one gravity. Like now it starts. It's a constraint that makes the puzzles interesting. You know, interesting. Now I just had a really interesting idea, which is interesting. I was thinking, like, you have a gun and you have like different guns and they're color coded, and so imagine Manifold Garden. It's the same gravity changing, except you have a gun and you can shoot enemies. But the gun is only... You can only use the blue gun when you're in the blue gravity. So if you want to change gravity, you have to drop the gun. That might be kind of interesting. I mean, that's a completely different game, but I wonder if that would be... The problem with that is, like, if you drop the gun, then you always have to, like, go back to, like, where you left it, which is annoying. You know? But if it's just weapon changing, that's not as interesting, right? Because this just means, like, oh, you can only use the machine gun when you're in red. Huh. I don't know. That's a completely different game. That I'm not gonna do that. We talked about progression mechanics, so better visuals. This everybody agreed on. Better feedback with each puzzle that's solved, and you know, we talked about increased freedom movement. I put jump and double jump as kind of examples, and that was, we all agreed these would be bad, because, you know, my roommate put it in a really good way, which is like, you know, if you gave me jump later on, because the thing is, like, with first-person games, like, people just like jumping. And if you take that away and then, like, later give it to the players as an upgrade, they would just sort of feel cheated. It's like, you know, because it's okay, yeah, it kind of sucks that you can't jump at the beginning, but the game needs that. And, you know, after a while, you're just sort of like, you make your peace with it. You're like, okay, I just can't jump in this game. That's fine. You know, my mind has adjusted to it. But if the game later gives you the ability to jump, it's like, man, you're giving me this thing that other games just give me by default, and I'm supposed to be all excited about it, right? So, flying, that's too much. I think what I'm gonna do instead is make it so we're gonna, like, both increase your movement speed. So I'm gonna leave run in. You know, originally I didn't want to give, like, I have run in the game as a debug. So, you know, you hold shift down and you can move a lot faster. I'm added that for my own purpose. But you can't, right now we don't have it for controller, which is that'd be an easy thing to do. What they did point out is, like, when you're falling through the level, you're trying to cover large distances, but the problem is that when you move forward at the same speed. So I think what we're going to do is, when you're falling, after a while, you start increasing your forward speed. It doesn't make any sense, right? If you're falling, you shouldn't be increasing your forward speed, because there's nothing pushing you forward. There's something pushing you down, gravity. But I think it's going to make the game feel a lot better, and so we're gonna do that. And you do all sorts of stuff like that in games. You know, you cheat physics. We had a really big discussion about the Dark World. Right now, well, actually, I've fixed it. I've started implementing some changes, but for a long time, the Dark World, you know, when the Dark World was originally created, it was a sort of bonus thing, right? Like, so you kind of had your whole game, and you just kind of played through it and you solve puzzles, and then there was this. And you know, if you wanted to, like, if you kind of went back to earlier levels, which you didn't have to, and explored some more, you can discover this dark world. And I thought, you know, that might be kind of fun, because then people who play that will be like, hey, you know, you can did you discover the thing, you know, kind of the second half of the game. But and a lot of energy went into developing the dark world and making that a integral part. But so yeah, at some point I kind of realized it was going to be way too much work to design 2 games, because if I kept the dark world as a bonus, you know, I had like this one main game that was what I presented and showed to be on what most people play, and then I had to make the second game that's almost like just as good, but only a small percentage of players would discover that. And it just didn't make sense to like put all this energy into this small thing that only a small portion of players would discover. And at the same time, for the main part of the game, I had a lot of design problems. And eventually I realized, you know, a lot of those design problems can be solved if I put the dark world in. Like, it all of a sudden gave the player a sense of purpose, but the way it was presented in the game was still not very prominent. Like, you still kind of had to stumble into the dark world and discover it. So one of the big design changes that I've implemented recently is making the dark world much more prominent. So you don't, previously, to solve the dark world puzzle, you had to like sequence break the game. You had to basically you had to think outside the box, right? You had to like take a cube for one puzzle and like sneak it out and use it somewhere else, and it was just kind of very tedious to do. And what I decided to do what I have decided to do was make it so that as you're playing the game normally, you solve the dark world puzzle, right? So instead of needing to kind of break the sequence, just going through the sequence will help you unlock this dark world puzzle. So it's part of the forward progression of the game. And kind of one of the discussions we had in Design Club was, well, even with this much more prominent signposting, the player can still advance to the next level without solving the dark puzzle. And a lot of discussion was whether I wanted to enforce it on the player. Like, you had to solve the dark puzzle in order to move forward. And there were kind of arguments on both sides. One was, you know, if my goal is to make that core game rule very prominent to the player at the beginning, I should force it. But, you know, my roommate and I agreed with him, was it is so much more interesting if you have the choice, right? Like, I like that there is a possibility that you can miss it, but you'll see it in the next level, and like maybe you'll miss that too. But I don't know, if the game keeps trying to show you something and you keep not making an effort to like discover that, maybe I don't know if that's like as much as the game can do. It's kind of like the Witness with the environment puzzles. Although, to be fair, I did not solve any of the environment puzzles the first time I beat the Witness. Like, I saw them, but I thought it was more I had to solve the panel. Like, I don't know, it just didn't really click in my mind. Well, that is the idea, but, you know, that's like, it's just too risky, you know. If I had, like, the problem is that you basically are making 2 games, right? The game needs to be, like, you need to have a game good enough that the majority, so let's just say you have this secret thing, only 2% of the people discover it, and it's awesome, and they tell everybody, that's awesome. right? But your core game needs to be good enough that like 98% of the people will also completely play through it. And at the moment, so it basically involves designing 2 games, and I think it's a great idea. It's just not practical. Like, I'm having a hard enough time just making 1 game. I can't make 2 and sort of expect that expect people to discover it. So it's a combination of me. Yeah, and I think the market is also, a lot of people will watch YouTube videos for like, I don't know, half an hour, an hour, right? They're not gonna, I don't think they're gonna, I don't want them to watch the whole thing, right? I want them to like watch the first half hour and convince, and be convinced to buy. And below, hello, Blacks Adev. I did say I think it's good. I just don't think that it is practical for me to do. I don't have the time or the energy to make what in this case would basically amount to 2 games. And so there's all this cool stuff. I mean, you have to rely on, that's like several steps, right? You rely on lots of people playing it, 2% discovering that, and 2% being like vocal enough to convince others to play it, or you just make the game so that the experience that both, you can't add stuff later. The game doesn't work like that. Like, what you want to do is you just design it so that the experience that those 2% have, 100% of the players get it, and then you got way more people talking about it. So yeah, I think it's not I think it's a good idea in theory. It's just incredibly difficult to pull off and implement. And like I was saying, my main part of the game had a lot of design problems that the Dark World, the secret stuff, actually helped solve. Right, so it just made sense. Like, it gave the game a sense of purpose, because the main game had, and it gives the game a story, it gives the game a narrative, and of course it depends, right? Like, I always thought it'd be great, like an idea for a game that I love to make, and I don't think I can do it, would basically be a game like The Sims. The Sims 3, to be more exact, because The Sims 4 is not open world. But The Sims 3 is open world, and it's kind of in the city, right? And you like go get a job, and you like go on dates, and you make friends, and you go to the bar, and you go to restaurants, and you shower, and you go to the gym, and you go to sleep, and you buy groceries. And I always thought it'd be awesome. So you have a game that's like The Sims, and some people can just stay in that city. But if somebody wanted to, they can just start like walking to the edge, and instead of like stopping the player at some point, the world just keeps going, and you end up going on this like crazy adventure. Like, there are dragons, and like discover like a forest full of magical creatures, and it's just this whole like it ends up being this whole adventure game. But the only way it would be possible is to do it as a mod of The Sims, because you have to have The Sims as like the core game, right? So in this case, it's basically 2 games. So this is very similar, and it was like, yeah, it just didn't make sense from a production standpoint to be making 2 games here, and from a design standpoint, it was also much more elegant when both of them were combined. So because without the Dark World, players are like, I'm just moving forward. What am I doing here? Like, what's my purpose? But the Dark World gives it a sense of purpose that ties into everything, and thematically, it's very interesting. So, yeah, I didn't want to make that so only a small minority of players discovered it. I wanted everyone to have that experience. So, but at the same time, I did not want to beat you over the head with it. I don't want to force it on you. I do like the idea that some players will miss it, but then they will realize what it was earlier and then backtrack and get excited about it. Can you remind me, why do people want borderless windows? But I will add that. Oh, is that what's going on? Are you watching? Is that because you're watching a YouTube Let's Play while you're playing my game? Hey, what if you just raise the... Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's still like... The problem with the percent is you don't know that until the end, right? It's like you finish the game, the credits show, and you're like, what the fuck? Why am I at 50% instead of 100%? Like, that's just too much. You know, it's like, originally the idea was from Fez, but it's just too... it's too like Fez is also 2 games, but I can't like I'm coming up on where I want to ship and I just can't do it. Like I said, I love the idea, right? Like I told you that game where you've got the Sims and then you can walk off and you have a whole adventure, but that's 2 games. You have to have the Sims. Like that's hard enough to pull off, and then you have to add that on top. No, I'm not gonna add stuff later. I don't know. I think you're very much in the. I think the modern gaming has changed your. Modern gaming. This game is not. The game is like one giant puzzle. It's not. You don't add stuff. There are no updates to the game later. It's not. It's one giant puzzle that is shipped at once. But I feel like everybody expects new games to be constantly updated. it's just all one thing together that's shipped, so it's not like all puzzles affect each other, so there's no way I can. It's like one cohesive whole, and there is an ending. There's a narrative and an ending, and that is it. There's no, because I hate games that don't have endings. Like, so I hate TV shows. But I just told you it's impractical. I'll implement it if you give me $200,000. Because then I can afford to get people. But I'm telling you, it is way too much. Way too much work. It's just, if I add that, I'm never going to ship the game. So, fortunately, we live in the real world, and I gotta make concessions. So ultimately what all this stuff is about. Nope. I am not shipping this year. So yeah, I just hate these TV shows that go on forever. I started watching Grey's Anatomy. It was on Netflix. And I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. And I'm learning about all these doctors. And I think that show is still going. And you just know, and so what they do is they kill off these really important characters. Like, it's not really a spoiler, but the main character, like, over the course of 10 years, like, 10 of people close to her die. Like, it's almost kind of crazy. It's but I think they got to do it because they want to, like, keep the show going, but these actors want to move on. But like, man, I've been doing this thing for 10 years. Like, I want to take different roles. And they're like, well, we don't want to make you seem like a bad person, so we'll just have you die in an accident. And it's just like, so to me, like, I watched 2 episodes and I was like, oh, I kind of want to watch more. And then I read about it, the bio's not updated. And I read about it and then I was like, I'm not that interested anymore. Hey, Matt Triangle and Ray March. I wanted to talk about, so okay. So this is kind of tricky. I think I showed it. There were actually, there's a few things. The orientation of it is wrong. I think it's just a Blender Unity thing, like their up axis is different, which is really annoying. And the problem is we use the renderer's orientation to determine to do that, and I just have to change all this math. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can see in this image, right? This is very clear. Like, this is you see the green axis, that's the up axis. But like my up axis is here. I think I can show you. We'll just do so yeah, you can see it's like, okay, green is up, blue is this, red that, right? So that's the forward. And so by the way, Ray March did that really awesome looking cube. And then I need to UV it so I can put, what's this one? Oh yeah, so see, so this is what the fuck? I fixed it. Oh, I think Dylan fixed it. Maybe. What? How did this get fixed? What the fuck? Oh. Never mind. I swear to God, I thought it was different. Oh yeah, just like I think the inside of the triangle, the inside of this and the walls, because what I want to do is put it white, and we don't want to play with it. I don't know, because like you can see right now our thing has it. My render material has this. Like I don't know if you can. You probably know you can, but like yeah, you can see that. That's how we split it up. So we split it up by different channels. So yeah, it looks good. I just can't need that. The other thing is I'm thinking there should be like a small triangle inside, like a little island, you know, because of the we do need to show that. Basically, that is there are two colors. That's the original color. So sometimes, like if this was a red cube and you turned it blue, that shows red. But yeah, I think it looks definitely well. I was like, this is pretty funny. I said, you know, I was like, hey, A or B, and I just kind of colored that in, and everybody's like, B B B B B B B B. Fuck Ryan. B B B. Used to see it as A. That's not saying B. I know you're just messing with me. B B. A few A's. B B B B B. But I think, yeah, I think just having some of the lines. Yeah. So this is what it is. I think the orientation is correct after all, but I think maybe it's possible Dylan. Oh, no, he didn't. I don't know why. I thought, you know, I swear to God, I thought the, oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm in global. Yeah. Hey, there we go. That's why. You can see that? You see my render? It's like, you see my render is, that's green is up, blue, red. But in here, the geometry, it's off, right? So that thinks it's, the green is here and the blue. So it's like, right now, it, yeah, in order to get it, because what we do is we use the orientation for it. So both of them have to be 0, 0, 0. And that, in order for that, it's like, it's, you see this, it needs to get like turned around and then loop back in. Oh yeah, the color texture, it's just green, red, green, blue. But yeah, let me know if you need so yeah, this, let me take a kind of like that needs to be like that. Like I need that, but yeah, so I couldn't drop it in right away. Yes, this is a beautiful, beautiful new cube from yeah, and I just it looks so good. Like it really does. It just and it actually inspired me to add a lot more stuff. So I'm actually we're going for a few things. Like I'm gonna do that to the buttons. Everything, like places where I've had to draw the lines before, I'm making it so that we don't do it. We don't use we don't use the texture, and we use the cube instead, and get the lines drawn that way. So. I think the inner side should be, like, I think this part should be black, you know? I think this side, I don't know. I'm not sure if it should be, probably just the original color. Probably just the original color, in which case or like it could be black, But if you give me the option, I can tweak it. And that's easy for me to do. Oh no, wait, we do, never mind. We don't, because the inside is, yeah, probably just 2 colors. Outside, inside, inner walls. Yeah, outside, inside, inner walls. Okay, so now let me go to the next inspiration. Oh, we get getting sidetracked here, but well, it's game development. Yeah, this. So let me show you guys this thing that Hob just does really, really well. Oh, I don't know what is up with whenever I have Chrome and Opera open, YouTube ends up being really slow in Chrome. Oh, maybe because I might have YouTube in another browser. Right, so let's look at that again. Like, just look at that. Like the weight, like he puts that on that arm, like you feel that. Like that button just feels so good. I don't even actually want to slow it down a bit. Look at that. Like there is the character animation, of course, which does a lot. And I'm actually not a huge fan of the toon shading because it has edges here but not here, which annoys me. Like the edges seem very inconsistent, but it's still a beautiful game. Right, so you can see like he presses down, you see the gears underneath turning. You don't even notice because you're sort of, there's so much stuff happening at once, but that turns, this covers it up, right? Like there's all this movement to make it feel very good, and then like this slides. So well, no, I said it does bother me. Like, you know, I don't like this look. But I like, as an overall, I think they did a fairly good job with the art style. It just yeah, I'm not a big fan of this specific type of edge detection. But anyway, you guys see what I mean about this? Like all you're doing, like so much of what you're doing in Hobbs is just going around pressing buttons, but they make it feel really good. And I like, look at this, look at the way this world kind of comes in, right? Boom. Like I'm just like, wow, this feels awesome. Like it foreshadows some of that stuff, and like that grass pops in. It just, I think it's just really, really well done. So, hey, Thread Wizard. So, you know, what I want is for these, so what I'm designing here are kind of like the pre-button and the post button. Like you press that button. So this is where the button would be. So, you know, right now, you guys have all seen the buttons. I mean, okay, man, they're just, yeah, this is what it is, okay? You go up to this thing, and you press that, it goes down, and then the door opens. It's like, very, very boring. What I want to do is move away from that, okay? You press this button, like that's gonna, they'll all have a little button here. So you press it, then this whole thing like it does the whole, you know, hop thing. And then it splits up into this. And then it's like, oh, you can walk through it. I cannot have it be really big, of course, because it is first person, and you have to be fairly close to press the button, so you cannot see, like, you know, I can't have this whole thing happening around you, right? But what I can do is have you do something, this opens up, and then this, like, level forms up. Like, yeah. So like you see, I can't. You see, I don't have that much space to like play with it, right? But so you come up to here, you press that, and then it's like, and then this opens up. And I won't use it. I guess I could use it as door in some places, but I also just like the idea, like, or here's another one. You press this button, and then it opens up to this, you know, and then there's like the pause and the anticipation. So that's all. That's all stuff that I'm working on. Oh yeah, so and all the ideas, I think you might not, you weren't here earlier, but I'm getting a lot of this stuff from Carlos Scarpa. But yes, I can see why you, because I get that picture sent to me all the time. No, we're gonna have it's gonna be, I'm gonna have the artist do it because it's like you, there's too many pieces. It's not, yeah, it's just one of those things where it's gonna be easier to go in, right? Yeah, I can see that. But I'm drawing it mostly from his work. Like this room, like we're definitely putting this room in the game somewhere or something similar. Oh yeah, so that one was inspired by this. You know, kind of originally took that. So let's see here. All right, guys, let me get some water. All right, guys, you know what? I'm going to take a quick 5-minute break. I'm just going to make I'm going to get a snack. So, 5 minutes. I'll be right back. Get some water. All right, hello everyone. Dario, welcome back. Good afternoon. You know, I'm gonna get us hoodie. Let's get to work. Hello, Keith Codes. Yes, Ngare. We should, for those of you who haven't seen it yet. Top of the new and trending. Very, very happy to see this. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm actually looking forward to like having it give me some inspiration, but I gotta be careful. You know, about adding too much. I bet it's gonna like give me all these ideas, and I'm gonna wish I had another year of development left. But let's focus. So yeah, so these are what I call irreversible buttons, and what I'm doing is I'm kind of creating a whole bunch of images. You know, Chris Zorg. Good afternoon. Just excited to see you guys here. I've been noticing a lot of YouTube subscribers recently. I don't know what they changed. Oh, it means like you cannot. So, hello, Kubo. But yeah, irreversible means like once you open it, you cannot close it again. And so, like, I realized that the door to the church, the door to the cathedral, and the high altar doors, they don't need to be closed. So, right, because it's like, in fact, if I allow them, they don't need to be closed. And if you close them, it actually kind of messes you up later because you get because what that means is it just puts you in a bad spot because you end up later and you close off that shortcut. And I'm like, why would you ever want to do that? And you know, the reason honestly is because I only had one button, so when I put that in the game, you know, it that's just what it was. So I'm not sure if I want all the doors to. Yeah, I'm even now wondering if for the most of the doors, if I should. I feel like for the doors, I should allow players to close and open them. But it for the special ones, there's no reason. Oh yeah, you know, because the problem why some of the doors, right, like the buttons, the button doors came about because of the cube doors, and those it's like, well, if you take off the cube then it closes, and that makes sense. But for these ones where you just press a button, I don't think they need to be. Oh my god, this. Hello, Dude. Well, lots of new people in the chat today. Actually, I think Kubo is not new. And Hello, James Devs. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, I know, but it's so yeah. It's like I don't need you because it allows for much more interesting animation when you allow for this thing to be irreversible, right? Because like the currently it's like because I want the door to close, I have to have that button like up front here. But now I realize I can just put that there. Like you walk up to it and you press the button, and then it does this like really sweet animation, and it opens up to this. The problem I have at the moment though is trying to communicate like where how the lights are, because I'm using lights both as like a way to get your attention and to what do you call it? And to like show that you've turned something on, so that's a little tricky. Yeah, you know, like something like this, right? Or you go up to that, you press the button, and it kind of in fact, I can even see it emerge out a little more like that, right? Like you walk up to it, and you press that, and it goes away. And you'll also notice that I'm using much smaller lines. I'm kind of just broken by my own rule. Like I wanted things to be no less than 0.5. These are 0.25. So I'm actually working on a 0.125 grid. Anthony Sturdy. Hello there. I got another design for a door I'm going to start doing now. So yeah, I really like these buttons. I feel... well, we actually merged them when we in the final version, so they actually all the geometry is actually combined. So yeah, we do have something, we do process it. You know, like I think you know, like the way that this door can work. Yeah. They are not. They're lighter than the standard geometry. They are. They look like this, like that. So they're a little bit lighter. That's the non-switched on. Who's Carl? You mean Carl? You mean Pro Builder Carl? I think he spells it with a K. But yes, I do know Carl. And Gabriel. Yeah, yeah. I feel bad for him. He's a Cleveland Indians fan, and it's hard to be a Cleveland sports fan. Yeah, he's a great guy. I'm actually using like a super old version of Pro Builder. Mostly I just kind of have my own pipeline, but yeah, they've been great to work with. Lucy the bot, welcome. All right, let me design a couple of these puzzles, just kind of get warmed up, and then let's start portals. And then let's work on how to do it. Like what I'm thinking here is actually a series of steps, and you press it, and then all the steps like fly down, and then the door opens. You know, I think that could be kind of a cool thing. Like you press a button, and then it shrinks down, and then the door opens up. Like, yeah, my mind's just kind of exploding with all these new animation ideas. But I want so yeah, I just kind of found like, you know, when I think ultimately, you know, it's interesting talking to other artists. You know, as to try to convey the artistic sensibilities, and now I understand why you spend so much time in pre-production and why you do like a design document, because it's really hard. Like this is just kind of stuff that I've internalized. Like, you know, and it's not even just recreate this, right? It's like I see their stuff and it's like translated into my head because I've been working with Manifold Garden for 5 years. Like when I see this image, I'm able to like Manifold Garden it in my head. And it's not even just like, okay, so you see this curve, so it's like, okay, well, we don't do curves, so let's do like little steps, but that's not even it, right? Because it's not, you don't, that looks like the, you know, the Minecraft thing where they try to make something round, but they still, and it just doesn't look that good. So it's not that, but like I know how you do, like, yeah, and that's just stuff that's been, that I've kind of developed organically over 5 years. Oh, hey. What was James put? What did James put? It might be. By the way, yeah, we'll just add you. Well, it's only 5 seconds. Okay, yeah. Oh, look at that. See that? Look at that detail. That's so nice. Like I've really come to appreciate little details like this. One time I was talking, I remember many years ago, I met this architect, and he was fairly young. We were the same age. This was like, I was like 22. And he's like, yeah, I'm a big idea person and I don't really care about the details. He's like, you know, when I design a space, I just kind of think about the big layout, and I could care less about what color the wall is painted. And I remember at the time I agreed with him. I'm like, yeah, me too, man. I'm a big idea person. Like, fuck the details. I don't have time. I can't waste my time to think about these little things. I'm all about the big idea. But making Manifold Garden has taught me it's the other way, right? Like, it's easy to come up with those big ideas. You know, let's put that space here. Let's put this space here. Yeah, clear. It's like, okay, yeah, I get it. But it's in the details where it starts to get super tricky, you know? Because you're like, it's in the details where it all comes out, and you're really thinking like, well, where does this piece go in relation to this, like that? Like it becomes like a microcosm of the whole game. And so I think God is in the details, and then also it just suck when you know like there was like the big idea was good, like you can kind of see that, and then they just chose the wrong paint color. You know, like it completely ruins it. Like if the details are wrong, it ruins the whole experience. So I think, yeah, you know, yeah, this Manifold Garden I've just learned a lot about the details. So really come to appreciate them. Like, you know, I used to, like, I think we were looking at that, like, yeah, it's just this stuff, you know, I kind of used to be like, whatever, but now just, I don't know, that's, yeah, I've come to really appreciate this. So, right, it's not, like, this isn't some kind of, like, big, massive stadium. Right, it's just this little little water fountain, but it's so nice. It's just such a nice fountain. They are working, and we're actually going to tackle that today. Again, making it more interesting. I had some interesting ideas about it last night as well. But yeah, I just, oh, look at that. Yeah, I sometimes I think I should go to architecture school after Manifold Garden, but I also like I feel like the game would be a great piece of my portfolio, but it's like 3 years of school and like a 7-year internship, and I don't know. I'm not sure if it's like I like designing interesting spaces, but I'm not sure that that is the reality of the job. And it would just be a lot to. I think I might just keep. I might just stay an admirer and not a practitioner. Anyway. Yeah, and it's you're kind of doing a lot of stuff for clients, and I'm like, you know, like, yeah, it sounds awesome to design an aquarium, but I don't think you really it's not like you get to work on those every day, right? And I'm pretty sure they just go with people who've designed other aquariums. But it's still, yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. Yeah. Oh yeah, look at this piece. Look at this too. Look at that. Isn't that just gorgeous? Oh, it's just so great. Well, so Chris, yeah, I think this is similar. Yeah. Huh. These are actually pretty good. All right, let's wait, like real life aquariums? Or like in a game? There are architects streaming? Okay, well, you know what? Let's go with this. Let's just kind of get started here. Oh, okay. Well, I want to see that. I will. I'll make sure to stop by her stream and ask her some questions. Where is it? Can you post it again? Oh, there we go. Oh, that's actually kind of cool that they that it's if you post a username, you can go straight to their page. Anyway, Twitch is pretty awesome. Anybody make it to TwitchCon this year? I did not go. It was fun, but I really need to stay and practice. don't know. You know, I actually like applied to Moment Factory. I don't think I would like it though, because it's not they're in Montreal, right? Like it's cool stuff. You know, I learned about them back when I was in advertising, but it's all, I don't know about Team Lab, but oftentimes it just feels like advertising work. I don't know, like it is beautiful. I'd love to do it. I don't know if I'd be able to do it like on a for hire basis. I don't know. I'm not really sure. Like, you know, I used to, man, they've done some amazing work since, yeah, because I used to do open frameworks, right? And that was very much like kind of in the same field, creative programming. And that was definitely like a lot of commissions. But yeah, it seems really stressful, and like the thing is they're all, you can make good money, but it's all like very short turnaround, and they don't you know, like I used to do stuff with like science, it was a interactive science museum exhibits, but they just didn't feel really deep, you know, like this stuff is cool, and I think it's a spectacle. Like I'm sure it's awesome, but I'm also, I don't know. I don't know if it gets at some of like the bigger themes that I'm interested in. Yeah. Like if I was given this commission to light this up, I would totally be down for it if I were like a designer, but I don't know if I'd want to be at a studio. But holy shit, they've come a long way. Yeah, I don't know, like I don't know if I really want to do product promotion, you know? Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's really cool. I'm not sure if that is necessarily for me. Wow, this is cool. You know, though one of these things you have to remember is sometimes the videos look better than what they do and how they do in real life. You know, like this would be cool, but it's I think this is, I don't know, is it this person's idea? I don't know too much. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, everything here is beautiful. So yeah, I think the work is really cool. I'm just not crazy about working for corporate clients. And But yeah, that's not anything about. Yeah, I think it's just my own personality. I think, but who knows? I mean, yeah, maybe I'll end up working at one of those places. No idea. Yeah, I think the work is cool, but you also want to, like, that was like, I worked in advertising in 2017, and it was like that, right? You're coming up with these big ideas, and it's fun, and I think the day-to-day job itself is fun, but sometimes when you step back, you remember the guy, that commercial, the Old Spice commercial? Ladies, like, you guys remember this? Anyway, so this ad was like really big on the chickens are down. So it was like 2010, and I think it was doing very well, and it was like all the talk in the ad agency, and I think it was from Crispin and Porter. It was an agency based in Colorado, and I was like 22, and it seemed really exciting. I was like, oh man, I want to make an ad like that, like they're so funny, but when and I think it was probably fun to like work with directors and come up with how the things move around, and it was funny, but at the end of the day, like what did that commercial do? And at the end of the day, it's like it helps sell body wash, and they're body wash salesmen. Like, they're very funny body wash salesmen, but that's what it is, right? You're selling body wash for Procter and Gamble, and I don't know, when you look at it in that light, which I think is, now once you start thinking about that, it's hard to not think about it like that. It kind of makes it feels meaningless. Well, I mean, the ad moved a lot of units of body wash, but I'm like, it's sort of, I'm not, yeah, it was fun. I had a really fun time in advertising. It ended on a bad note, but that was more like a politics thing with certain people. But yeah, it was fun, and it was very eye-opening. But I think when you understand yourself better as an artist, like I told you that story, right, where on my last day, this creative director was like, I've been in this industry for a long time, and the reason why I've lasted so long is I never thought of myself as an artist. And she talked about this guy who treated every ad he made as a work of art and just burned out really quickly. And at the time I was like, what a loser. Like, I can totally do this. And now I've come to realize I'm very much like that guy. It's hard for me not to. Yeah, and I don't think it's like a positive thing to kind of, I feel like when I make stuff, I have to put myself into it. But then when it's all tied up with like commercial and business side, that just gets really, yeah, it's not a healthy thing for me. And I think for others that could work, but for me, and working on this game has really taught me that. So game is coming along well. We're kind of designing some things here. So that was a very long answer to your question, but definitely something I've been thinking about a lot. These tickets are now diamonds. When I was working in the car industry on 3D UIs, it was so much more fun than my game now. Yeah, it is. Well, it's not so much the buildings. It's not the buildings that look repetitive. It's actually all the little elements like the buttons, right? Because those get used all the time. Okay. All right. I'll see you later, Dario. Yeah, I always just, I don't know, just with the like, and I'm not saying like I want to change the world because that sounds like a really obnoxious thing to say. Like, I remember there was a startup that just like made t-shirts. I think all they were doing was like, they were like tailor-made t-shirts. And I think they just had them made overseas for very cheap. So it was like tailor-made shirts for like $30 or something. And I just remember reading on their bio, and it was like, you know, we're here to change the world. It's like, dude, you're just making tailored shirts. Like, not that that's not like, I'm sure it's interesting, but like, come on. Just admit you're exploiting a capitalist system for your own gains. There's nothing wrong with that. We're making a living, but I wish they just wouldn't be like, we're here to change the world. Check my Discord. Okay, see ya, Cappuccino. Thanks for stopping by today. I will see you around. I really need to try to start streaming earlier. All right, so game object. Actually, you know what? Let's do the one that I'm trying to make, which is someone posted though. You ever see that hashtag? It's like overheard in San Francisco. And my friend posted one. It was so funny. It was like, no, we're not selling wine. We're getting people to sell wine to each other. My friend was like, please get me out of the city. That looks... I just kind of want to break symmetry in some of these. Actually seems kind of cool. Not me. The other people getting an artist to do that. But they're all gonna follow a certain path, you know. I'm not too sure what you mean there. Oops. Oh, it's down to the stair, kind of. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm still, you know, I mean, this is sort of a, it's very kind of, what are you guys talking about with the duck? This stuff is always kind of like this. It takes some time to... Okay. Ah! This one's okay. I want to finish up a bunch of these today. It's stopping me from getting any work done. Oh. Got it. So my plan is to like do these kind of basic ones, send them off to the artist for like another pass, and then we start animating. Yes, yes. I guess we should, let me actually bring this in. I did download it. One second. Hold on. Where do I bring this guy in? Huh? Way too many scenes in here. Import new asset. Oh, cool. I think you're still off a little bit, but I think I can fix that. I think the forward direction is slightly different. But where's the UV? Where's the UV? So you're saying I can... Wait, what? No, that's all messed up. What do I do with the UV thing? Oh, there we go. The channel texture. Hold on. What you call this thing? Color underscore text. Oh, what? That looks great. I mean, you know, we need to filter the colors. Oh yeah, see that? This is sick, huh? We have we can change the setting for it and just, yeah. There we go, that definitely looks good. OpenGL or DirectX, man, I don't know. How do I look it up? I'm in DX11. It's just like bottom. I don't know how to. All I know is like that's like Z. That's blue is where that, and right now it's flipped. It's just like 90 degrees. That definitely looks a lot better. Damn. Bottom left is 0, 0. What is that is getting smaller. That is getting. How do I fix off by one error things? Oh, I mean the texture is perfect. I'm just confused about the but yeah, I'm confused as well. But I do think you're right. I think the important thing here is that this is definitely good. I think you're right, the inside of it. You know, we can try it here. Hold on. This isn't we're not talking about the shader though. We are talking about the geometry. All right, Thread Wizard, I'll see you later. I don't. Yeah, I don't know what the. I hate that. Like I know. I know. They do it differently. Oh, what? Okay, huh. I mean, I like it. I definitely. Oh. I don't know. What do you guys think? I almost kind of like the white on the inside, huh? It's not. It's no longer fan art. It's canon. I guess then I can use this. Oh. Oh right. It doesn't update it. It does look good. Yeah, we need to change things, but damn, that looks good. Yeah, that's an improvement, definitely. Yeah, just the rotation. But I can probably fix that in code. I think so. What the fuck? Oh, never mind. This is an old one. What's the game? Oh. Hold on 1 second. Oh damn, it's coming out in PlayStation. Congrats, dude. That's huge. Man, you know, the game's coming out, like that's massive. Can we watch a trailer? Huh. Where? Is there no trailer?
Peggy 12.
Oh, Playlink. Oh, whoa, that's cool. These people look so happy. Why do these people have Sony phones? Who has Sony phones these days? Oh, there's knowledge is power, right? That was it. Knowledge is power. Oh, very cool. So it's part of the That's You package. You know what? I gotta hold on. So first of all, Raymarch, yes, it is no longer fan art; it's canon. But we gotta make gravity cube. Yeah, it's like where am I putting the texture, you know? It's here, you know. So we gotta do. So yeah, this is the other thing is we have to. I have to. Yeah. So in relativity utils, I like that. You know, I'm at a stage where it is a lot easier for me to change things. I understand how it works. So for example, we don't like you said. There's a single cube bend diffuse, and we're gonna change that to color text. So am I rotating it in code? The texture or the renderer? I'm definitely not changing the You know what I mean? It's not but I'm not. Do you know what I mean? I'm not changing. Oh, did you send me another one? Oh, thank you. But let me see here. So yeah, I have a relativity utils. It's like we kind of have these systems, so it's yeah, it's been an interesting process because hold on. Like at first it's easy to make changes when you're just starting out in Unity because you don't have all these systems, but then at some point you start getting these systems in and then it's really hard. But then once you lock it down and you know what you can change, it's actually quite simple as long as you understand it. Okay, import new asset. We've got this mggeom cube. Ba-da-bum, ba-ba-bum, ba-dum-bum. Oh, come on, what's going on here? Huh. You know what's weird is it's the same. Something must be fucking with it. Well, because what's interesting is you fixed it the first time, right? Because remember we had what's interesting is 0 is like because you definitely fixed this guy. But first what I'm gonna do is because yeah, this guy definitely got fixed. But hold on, let me let me just jump. Let me make sure that the game is let me just make sure the material is coming out correctly, okay? You know, something like this is why I didn't want to do a gameplay trailer. You know, I knew it was going to be, like, just getting way better looking cubes. Yes. I do need to make some changes because the shared color is weird. Honestly, it wouldn't be that much for me to change in the code. So let's not worry too much about that for now. I don't know why I've got a... That's yeah, man, that looks like a good cube. That looks... Yeah, I really like that. All right, guys, let's let me do some more. Hold on, I'm gonna for now delete these cubes in here, and we're gonna. Okay, yet another version. If this doesn't, it's simple for me to change the code. It's honestly, but let's see this. Let's see if this is good. Then we're all set. Well, we still have to do the double gravity cube, but let's try this one. On va essayer. That's it. It's working. What happened? This is it. That's the one. That's the one, baby. Now it does fuck up the double gravity cubes, but I think that's fine for now. Yeah. I like to think so. Yeah, that's the biggest thing is new cubes. Yeah. The new cubes do look freaking sweet. Well, I do really like this. So that's what they... Oh, these are sweet cubes. Oh, look at that, huh? Yeah, this is, I think this new thing is really nice. Yeah, these new cubes, they feel, yeah, it's just the whole look of it feels better, you know? What the fuck, are these broken? No. No. Oh, just that one. Oh, just that one is broken. Oh, I want to show you something that's really, really cool. So check it out with this. Yeah, so let's test the water. Diamonds? Oh, no, that's just a test. I don't actually like that at all. I have a new idea. But so watch this. What this does is, I want to show you guys, this is a very, very cool thing. So what we've got here is this piece. This piece turns on water, which in turn turns on this block, okay? So the water stops itself. The water blocks itself. You see what I'm saying? The water wheel turns off itself. This is really interesting. I want to just kind of show you guys an idea I have for a puzzle that this is emerging from. Okay, this music is awesome. SimCity 4. Okay, so see this, right? That turns on, and that in turn makes this, which, what the fuck? Oh. Ah. Hold on. This is, I don't want to change. This is kind of annoying, but basically, ugh. Okay, I have to separate it, but I want to show you guys something is new. Yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do 2017. Okay, watch this, guys. So, this will stop itself. So, right, this turns on. That freezes, which causes the water, when it turns on, it becomes solid, which breaks the water, which turns it off, which makes it non-solid. How cool is that? Right, so here's an interesting puzzle. So that means like you can't get through it. Right, so instead what you have to do, you know, in this case you have to go around. Oh fuck, what the fuck? No, okay, we're having some problems with it turning off, but... whatever. I've never actually played Minecraft, but anyway, we got some bugs I need to fix. But let me jump back to the You know what? I'm gonna get some more tea. I gotta drink tea like every hour. I'll be right back. Give me 5 minutes. Alright, Keith, I'll see you later. No idea what you're talking about regarding Bonozo. Huh. The next title, what do you do? I need a producer, that's what I need. Oh, the Matt, oh yeah, I do Bonozo apps. What is he doing? Well, programmers are always in demand. Platonic. Is that like a kind of mineral or something? Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna do another game. Yeah, that's true. I follow his stream as well. Has he released this game? Oh, you know what? He's probably at TwitchCon. You might want to ask like Quasi TV. Quasi knows him as well. He might have a better But you know, sometimes people do that, like... It's hard to keep up streaming, you know, sometimes family stuff happens. They are, it's hard to... Maybe. I mean, a lot of it depends on like which games you've made, and for me, I always do like a trial period. I mean, Arthur's been fantastic to work with. I'd work with him again in a heartbeat. You know, like once you find a good programmer, you're just like, oh, don't go away. Nah, it's all your own fault. The coding, I mean, you'll find it's something weird that you've done. At least that's how it's always been for me. Yeah, I don't like the look of that. What'd I tell you? Don't worry, we've all been there. At least you weren't doing it live on a stream. I still remember last time we had like, it was spent 2 days fixing this bug. I couldn't solve it, and then Garrett was like, should that button over there be pressed? I was like, oh, yeah. That's like the one bug that I still remember, just because it was so, like, 2 days of hair pulling, and then I came on the stream and I thought it was some kind of like massive Unity conspiracy. And Garrett's like, is that button always pressed? Like, oh yeah. Whoops. Yeah, I mean, you know what, that's not... What is this game about? But we'll be doing a gameplay trailer soon. What's it about to you? I'm not too sure what you mean there. Cosmic Gardener on a mystic journey to bring life to the universe. That's what I just said. You might be overestimating how much fun it is to work. For indies. No, it's just, it's not, I guess, like, why... I mean, it's mostly tongue-in-cheek, but why do you want to become an indie developer? I think it's not... I think the reality of it might be much more different than what you might think. Indie teams and experience. It is, you know, a lot of studios fail, so there is a lot of instability. The pay is generally lower, and it depends on like what kind of, you know, if you're obviously if you're working for someone else, even in the indie space, that's different than if you've got your own game. Yeah, I don't know if I've regretted, and I've talked about this a few other times on the stream, so I'm not gonna go into it in too much detail, but you know, one of the things that, like, why I'm starting is why I'm, you know, part of the why I stream is just to kind of showcase like the yeah, just kind of the day-to-day stuff. Yeah, it's really more doing your own thing versus working at another studio. Certainly, programmers are always in high demand. Hello, Pro Puke. I don't think I've gone by Willie in like, what is it, 3 years now? 3 years? Yeah, that becomes, this just takes a really long time. Yeah, my day of reckoning is yet to come. But I mean, I've been feeling a lot more confident about it. But it's definitely, the market is pretty tough. Hello, Rory Bell. Yeah. Willie Cheers relativity. To be honest, that wasn't because I had a big ego. It was because I couldn't change the name. Well, if you are working at a studio though, that is different than, that's more like, those are more like freelancer problems, whereas if you're like running your own studio, then you've got more just straight up market problems. You know, I'm definitely, you know, I don't know if I regret it, but I've definitely made some I've definitely made some mistakes. The game is way too big for one person, and one person without any experience. But I mean, that's probably why I ended up making this, right? Yeah, they were in early access. I don't know. I mean, I think it's really appealing to kids. I honestly did not hear about it until they left early access, and people were telling me how well they did. Yeah, I think if you work for an indie company, what you're probably dealing with is just like, I think you could make more at a larger studio. Especially if it's like a smaller, if it's a newer indie studio or just starting out. And you know, if your pay is sort of dependent on how well the game does, which it often is in this space, that could have an impact. You know, I know indie devs who worked at kind of like a reduced rate for 4 or 6 years. That's a thing. Well, let's see what else. Probably just more like, you know, if the game doesn't do well, then that studio probably shuts down after. So, but like I said, those tend to be more just general. I think those can be problems that are more generic to like freelance programming. Yeah, and usually if you're a freelancer, that's it's not too bad. Certainly the programmers I'm working with are not worrying about how well the game does. I mean, I'm sure they'd like the game to do well. Right, but you know, if it fails, they will be fine, whereas I would be in trouble. Well, the finance thing, it's what happens to me is I will be a broke 30-year-old. Which is not the worst place to be. Right? Yeah, it's not the worst place to be, but it's also like not the place you want to be. So fortunately, because of the kind of the, you know, a lot of the funding is from Indie Fund, and I don't have to pay back. I only pay them back from revenue of the game. So the nice thing is that I won't go into debt, right? Because you can have less than $0, and that sucks. But fortunately, that I'll just be broke. But yeah, it's not ideal, especially like when you think about kind of retirement and investment savings. A lot of that is compounded, right? So, you know, the earlier you start on that, the better. But at the same time, you know, I'm not in a position where that's like where I'm completely fucked. So yeah, that's what that's what that is. But I feel fairly confident. I mean, it's not, as I've said in the past, it's certainly not the number of units. 40,000 is not. It's not a crazy amount, right? Some games have to sell like 100,000 units before they break even. I don't have to do that, which is nice. So 40,000 is not easy to do. Like you can't just put a game on Steam and not do anything and expect to sell 40,000. But it's also not this like ridiculous, impossible number, right? So, how do I feel in terms of will I get out of games altogether? Well, that depends on a few other things as well. So it depends on what you mean by a success. So, like I said, with the 40,000 units, what that leaves me with after I pay back like investors and taxes is about $200,000 to $250,000, which might seem like a lot, except that is money to back pay myself for the last 5 years I spent, right? So it's like 250,000 is actually, you know, this is interesting because let me show you guys let me show you guys something. I'll show you guys this number that I've been doing the calculations, and I'm gonna let me change it a bit. Let me change it a bit. So let me make a copy, and I'll say Manifold Garden finance projections example. Let me show you guys, because I can do the numbers, and that's okay. And this is, you can actually take a look at and see how goes, right? So I gotta change some numbers first though, so I don't. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm going to share it with. Yeah, let me just show you guys the numbers. Back pay. So you've put a valuation on your time for 70K a year and are back paying 50K a year of that to yourself as your consideration of break even. Yeah, but let me, except it's not, it's a little bit tricky, right? Because it's actually less, because this is, now if you were to get, because of compound, like if you were to get 70,000 a year that's guaranteed up front, you can invest that, right? And like, that, so you can actually end up with a lot more if you just took 70K a year. And that's also with, like, we're not including other sort of general benefits like work promotion, which would happen. So, you know, this is more for the sake of just kind of the calculation. But let me give you guys an example, and I'll show you guys the numbers. But this is sort of think about a lot, of course. So I just kind of want to, I know because not too many devs talk about this, but I want to be just kind of really upfront about the reality of it. 1 second. Give me a moment. So yeah, we're gonna talk about taxes and all of that. To edit. So let me just double check that I've took out everybody's names. And these are just examples. So this is not, I want you guys to be clear, like these are more, I was trying to get a sense of like how much this was, I was doing this test to see like how much would be. So give me 1 second, okay? Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, yeah, let's get started. So let me show you guys this thing. All right, so here's just kind of this calculation that I've done in the past to kind of predict how the numbers do. So the game is unit cost, let's say $20. So this is our first investor, okay? Now some of these, this stuff doesn't, ignore this stuff up here. So we got a store cut. Let's go with 30%. That's just how much the stores take. And taxes is like, let's just go 40, which is kind of aggressive, but that's we're not even get to there. So let's say our first investor is Rory Bell. Okay, so Rory Bell gives me, let's say you give me 50,000. Actually, you know, we're not even gonna bring in the second investor in the picture. So Rory Bell gives me 50,000, and because what happens is when the game goes on sale, I pay Rory Bell back 50. All the initial revenue comes in and it goes to pay back Rory Bell. So the first 50,000 I get goes straight to Rory Bell, and then we do a 75-25% split, and that money goes to. Then we split, right? So after the first 50,000, Mr. Bell, right? So Mr. Bell gives me 50,000. I work on the game. The initial revenue goes to pay him back, and then I take, and then after that, it's a 75-25 split. So every dollar I give Rory Bell 25 cents. So this is what's going on here, right? So I say I sell 10,000 units. Now that's 200,000. The store takes 30%. We're left with 140,000. Revenue after I pay back Rory Bell, I get 90,000. Then we pay the post-principal repayment, right? The interest, in which case, so 25% of what's remaining of the 90,000, that I pay 25% of 90,000 to Rory Bell. I'm left with 67,500. This is without any other investors. Okay. Now this is like if we're doing revenue share. So let's also just make this easy. Let's take out expenses for all that. After investor rev share. Okay, so like we talked about this. So this is, if I sell 10,000, the after tax revenue I get is 40,000. I don't know if you guys can see this. So this, ignore the net profit because that doesn't make any sense. I get 40,500. Yeah, you know what? These two columns don't make any sense, so ignore those. But I get 40,500. We divide it by, this is actually should be divided by 5 now. So that leaves me with an annual salary of $8,100, which obviously sucks. So if I make 10,000, that's not great, right? And let's just say, let's say after the first investor, I get another one, and they give me 50,000. So we're getting a little. Now, obviously, this is going to cost more than 50,000. And let's say we also pay them back. Let's assume they're a little bit generous. They're like, you know what, you don't have to pay me back double. You just pay me back 1.5. Okay, so we do 1.5. Right, then it's even less, right? So, and what about my own personal expenses? Like this is the cost that I forfeited in order to make the game, right? The opportunity cost. So this is like expense opportunity cost. You know, let's put like, let's start getting a little bit more accurate. Let's say for each 50 years, each of the 5 years, it's 40,000, which in the US, now to keep all of this in mind, a beginner programmer in the US in a game studio, in sort of like a town with okay cost of living is about 72,000 plus benefits, right? So you get 72,000, and then you don't have to spend money on health insurance, which can be like 2,000, 3,000 a year. Okay, so these are just the numbers. So this means you can see the column that we want to be. This is, I'm not doing revenue share, right? So if I start bringing on a sound design musician, they want revenue share. Okay. But you can see I do not make after second investor principal repayment. So really we're looking at this is after I sell you know what, let's just take this out and just for a little easier. So this means after, if I sell 25,000 copies, you know, I get 175,000, which might seem like a lot, except taxes take a big chunk of that. And I'm left with 21,000 per year, right? So you can see it's really not, it's like, so where I consider my break even is 40,000 units. And again, that might seem like a lot, because the after tax amount, that's 385,000. Well, no, that's sort of after everyone's paid back. I'm taxed 231, and I'm left with an annual salary of, we can probably move this over since we don't need units sold. But you can see I'm left with $46,200. So yeah, that is not bad, except that is lower than what you would have made working at a game studio. Yeah, you'd be hard pressed to find programming jobs that pay this little, especially today, right? And this is every year. Whereas if you were to work at a studio, you probably would get like 70, maybe for the first 2 years, then like 75, and then 80, right? And all that time you can invest a big chunk of that. So yeah, and that's 40,000 units, right? If you look at what are all the games doing these days? So, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, they look at Steam Spy, they look at the numbers. You know, like this Bomber Crew game is doing quite well. And to be fair, it just came out. But, you know, that's sitting at 25,000, right? Like, and this is on the top seller for the indie game list. If we look at a game like Hop, which I think has done quite well, I would consider this game a success. So that's sitting about 38,000. It's $20, but this is from Runic Games, which I think has a following already. So, yeah, and again, you know, this has been out for a little less than a month, but this is a game that I would consider is doing very well. But it just goes to show the numbers are very much stacked against me, and I think it's important to be realistic. So yeah, you know, for me, a good case is like hitting that 40,000, hopefully ideally within the first 3 months. And to me, that's what I would consider that to be a success, right? Because yeah, I mean, obviously, if it sells like 100,000, that leaves me with a lot. But I don't, you know, it's not. You can't really think about things. Oh yeah, first of all, this is based on this much, right? Like, you know, I think cost is much higher than this, and then we. You know, but that came out in 2012. I mean, that's the Antichamber sold 1 million, and it's like when you think about Antichamber, Portal, those are huge successes, which I just don't think it's like, to me, all of those are outliers. You can't use those, right? And of course, we're not including my opportunity costs or like other personal expenses, right? So this is like, that's how, like, let's say, how much have I spent on my own? We'll just put a very conservative estimate, 100,000. that leaves me with, and these are costs that like the studio would be paying for if you weren't doing that. So Hat in Time did very well, 60,000, but we can look at like their numbers, but theirs is so 30. So still, it's like even with 60 with one person, that's 67. But I think it probably, that game probably cost them like 200,000 to make. So I don't know. I mean, they also got Kickstarter, which is basically, kind of like free money. But there are plenty of games which have underperformed. I'm just bringing this up. This is another indie funded game. Future Unfolding. It's sitting at 2,000 units. I mean, it's barely bigger than the standard deviation, right? 2,000 units max. So when we so I just want to give you guys a reality of like how, and I think most indie games on average on Steam on average 5,000 units lifetime. So right, and you see people working at Ubisoft. Like look at the Forbes 30 under 30 list. How many of them work at companies, right? You get that. Like if you get on Forbes 30 under 30, again, I'm not saying that that's important. I'm not saying that's what you live for, but that is stuff that potential employers are like, hey, that's important, right? You got that gap on the resume. You're missing out on, like, we can talk about all this stuff about, doing it on your own and working at a company, and there are all these benefits, right? Like this whole time you've had health insurance, like you don't have the same level of stress. You're socializing, you're meeting all these people. So I just want to give a clear idea of like what is something what's like, realistic numbers that you can expect, right? So, right, and I'm being super conservative here where, this is, right. And just like the reality of it, right? So for me, 40,000. So, at this point, I've kind of made my peace with it and I'm trying to be super conservative. So 40,000, that really doesn't leave me with much. Right. It's like, yeah, I get annual salary of 22,000, which is not a lot. So let's just, since we're here, Chris said like what would you do if your game did 100,000 units, right? And so again, this might seem like a lot. Maybe like after I pay back all the investors, you're like, well, I have 1 million. That seems pretty good, but tax is going to take a big chunk of that. Probably take like half of it, which divided by 523,000. Yeah, that's good. But this is again, this is a maybe, right? This is not guaranteed. So, and if you start doing revenue share, so let's say like a sound designer is, I don't know, like 10%, musician 10%. So like let's just say you give away 20% revenue share because you don't have enough. Think about it. This cost so far. This cost is only 150,000 for the development of the game. Well, 250,000, which again is very, very low for indie games. I mean, that's 5 people if you were paying them salary for 1 year, right? So if you had like, let's say you take like a programmer and an artist and they work on the game for 2 years, that's 250,000, like full time. That's gone, right? So let's say you do sound design and musician. You're like, okay, let's do revenue share. You each get 10%. And you start paying them, and after that, even if you sell 100,000 copies, you're really only getting 96,000 per year. So again, I mean, it's not like these numbers might. I just want to show you guys how it might seem like these numbers are really high, but it can be difficult to make money. And what I've got going for me is a few things. The game has, on the whole, been fairly cheap to make. So like I said, if I hit 40,000, you know, the numbers are, because I'm not doing revenue share with anyone at the moment, which has been good. So if I hit 40,000, that leaves me with okay, you know, it's like 20, 40, you know, it's around that range, right? I mean these numbers are not exact because I don't I would be okay sharing this stuff, but I don't know if the investors are. But I can tell you it's like somewhere around, right, the 40, 50,000, I'd be able to walk away with like 40,000 per year for the last 5 years, which for me, I'm like, you know what, that's it's like, yeah, I'd be happy with that. So I'm being super conservative with my own estimates of what is success. So yeah, Chris said, you know, what would you do if if you sold 100,000? 100,000, that's not enough though to make another game, right? Like, okay, that's not, like, you back pay yourself, but you can't just take that money and go in, right? So you're not, like, really, it's not unless you sell, you know, like, let's say I sell 150,000, which is a huge success. Hey, that leaves me with, okay, like 200K a year for the last 5 years. That's a lot. So you could theoretically take away, just be like, okay, I just paid myself 100 and then put 500,000 back into the studio. And then that gives you what? 500,000, you know, probably 3 people. So 50, 150. So that gives you runway for 2.5 years. You see what I mean? So like, okay, you're like, okay, now I'd be financially stable, and that gives me a runway of 2.5 years. So yeah, like if you did 150,000 units, that wouldn't be a bad, okay, you can do that, but you might also just lose all of that. I don't know, you know, it's like, so it has to be a fairly big success if you wanted to continue making games. So it gives you a year, but you know, you're just, the thing is what you have to account for is the games fail, right? So you're like, if you are trying to run a business, you can't do it like this, right? So what you have to do is you have to like make faster games, a lot of them, and kind of go in with the expectation that like 9 of them fail and only 1 succeeds, but that one is successful enough to pay for the others. And that changes the way you would approach yeah, by the way, I think everyone knows, like, I'm backed by Indie Fund. That's public information. So this is how the Indie Fund, so this is not the amount I've taken, but the way Indie Fund works and a lot of other funding. Now, this is slightly different because what Indie Fund is doing is they give you a principal, and in this case we put 100, and I pay them back double, and then it's over, right? Now with publishers, that's not what they do. Publishers, they take another 30%, right? So that means you would bring up the revenue share, and they probably want to do, like, this is like a very typical, it's like 150,000. So you're not, their revenue share, like, you don't even see money until, like, right? Like so if you go with the publisher, and that's indefinite, and I keep doing the rev share amount just because that's indefinite. So like, let's say you do that, and then on top of that, you revenue share with artists on top. So it's like 0.3, and then you do whatever is remaining. So like 0. Which is like 0.7 divided by that, you know, whatever, right? We're just kind of doing the math. So maybe at the end of the day, between revenue share and other people, you're really giving a total of 0.4. Your annual salary at 40,000 is like 40,000 is 12, which is also, so I only get 12,000 a year. And that's tricky because that means the publisher has recouped, right? They've recouped early on. And those first 10,000 units are the easy ones, right? So here's what happens, right? The publisher fronts you money. In the first 10,000 units, your publisher has broken even. You still haven't made any money. So yeah, so I just want to give you guys like the reality, you know, it's not, yeah, I want to be, yeah, so I've got like a few things going for me. One, on the whole, I don't have a publisher. The indie fund terms are pretty good for what they are. I'm not doing any revenue share at the moment, and it's just one person that I have to support. So yeah, I can see myself like, Chris, the only way I would, the thing is, if I make 40,000 units, sell 40,000 units, I will probably walk away for sure. It's just, you know, it's like, you know, I'm 30 now. When I started it was 25, and I'm just at this age where like I've got other things that are important. Like, you know, I want to be able to travel to see my family and like go on vacation, and I want to maybe have my own family. And I got to start thinking like retirement and college funds for kids, and you know, if you have family, your health insurance, right? So there's all that other stuff, and I gotta start, especially if I only made 40,000 a year. I probably need to start looking for work that pays me a little bit more. Like, you know, if I hit 40,000, it's like, like I would be happy. You know, the whole thing wasn't a disaster, but I also need to like start future planning, and I just feel like indie games as a whole is kind of risky. But yeah, if I, you know, 100,000 is like, then I would be in like a good spot. Financially, it worked out well for me, but I'm not really in a position to like risk more. Like if it was like 100,000 units sold, I would have been like, I'm in like a good spot and I can afford to lose some while planning for the future, but not enough to like fund my own game, right? It's really not until like 140,000, 150,000 units where you start to be able to like, you're financially okay, you can plan for the future, and you can invest more in another game. It's like, that's really where it starts to become a reality. So I don't know what the corporate tax is, but I know like for personal taxes, it's incremented, right? So it's like your first 50,000 is taxed at like, I don't know, 10%. Then like the next 20,000 is taxed at 20%. So it's a scaled rate. But we did 40 because it was just easier. Better to underestimate. So yeah, like you see, C# coder in Chicago makes 90,000 a year. And when you think about like your investment, right, like 90,000 a year, let's say you keep your same expense, right? And you save some of it and you spend some of it. And let's say you invest 30% of that. You invest 30,000 of the 90,000 you make. You start that when you're 25. That's like just the principal you've put in is 150,000 over the course of that 5 years, and that with that compound interest, like that's a lot, you know. And you start retirement like which none of this has. So is yeah, and you pay personal taxes fully for that year. I mean, you can do some stuff like you can back pay, like you can count expenses for the previous 2 years. Like if you have losses, you can count before, but I think that only goes back for 2 years, right? So, I mean, I do have a company, but it's not a corporation; it's a limited liability, right? So and you can like put some stuff in to the company instead of paying yourself, but that's still it's. That's like a little bit more complicated, but the general sentiment is the same. Like I'm not gonna magically end up with another $1 million or anything. So yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to give you guys and like 150. I'm not even letting myself think about that much, right? That's a big hit, and I think to be realistic, let's go 40,000. And also, another thing is if you are looking at these games, if you look at their numbers, I'm going to use this just because it's no Project High Rise. Like, this number might seem high. You might think they've done very well, but they were in Humble Bundle Monthly. And I say this, and I'm not going to discuss the actual numbers, but like, a big chunk of that is from Humble Monthly, which they give you a fixed rate for. So it's not, you can't just, you don't just go to Steam Spy and take the price and multiply it by owners, because that's often much higher than that. So, yeah, I hope this has been informative. Probably really depressing, but I think it's important to think about, and certainly for me, I'm like, I gotta make my peace, right? So, but fortunately, my expenses are not that high, and we're not the revenue share is not that aggressive. But even with this, and if we're to keep that, like, it's still, yeah, right. I'm still not walking away with very much. 15,000, 16, 20,000 per year. No, I could. I am incorporated, but that's a little bit different. The way the tax works is more like the company makes money and then you pay yourself a salary and you only get taxed on the salary, but it's not like it makes, if you have if you're making like $1 billion, like, yeah, it's going to make a difference because like 1% is $1 million or something, right? But it's like, even if I make $1 million, that's not, yeah, it'll save me, maybe 5 to like 10,000, which yeah, obviously is significant, but it's not, what I'm saying is it doesn't change the position you're in, right? You're still like, it's not like, oh, you're not magically pulling out. It's more like you do 30% here and then like you don't get taxed like twice or something, but the core is the same. Yeah. So, right. It is like, there's that, and an accountant would be able to give you a much better, like, analysis of what it, but really the difference we're talking about is like at any of these numbers that's realistic, we're talking like a 5,000 to 10,000 difference, which, yes, it is a lot and you want to save that, but it's not, that doesn't change the position, right? That's like standard deviation. So so yeah, I want to, so that's why it sucks, when you talk to people and they say they'll pirate the game, and you read about the like, just like the Steam reviews, and people are like, you only pay for this game when it's free, and that, like, I know a lot of people just sort of not familiar with this, but it's like, for me, I'm in a position where I'm thinking about all this, and then you read that and you're just like, fuck, like, you put so much of yourself and you're just barely, you're just barely breaking even. So that's, yeah, that can be tough. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. We've been streaming for 3.5 hours. God damn it, I was supposed to do a whole bunch of these buttons and I didn't get any done. Anyway, I gotta go now. I'll probably jump back on a little bit later tonight. But yeah, I wanted to, yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons why I want to share development, right? And just sort of be super transparent. So, earlier, I don't know if they're still here, Strumber or something, asked about like why, I was kind of like, I wouldn't go into game development. I'm not saying it's bad, and certainly working as a programmer in the scene is different, but where the reality of it is, especially as if you're kind of running your own thing, is not not really good, and it's not. It doesn't incentivize kind of this kind of game, right? It does. The thing is, here's the thing. It incentivizes like, and I'm not saying that, like there was that rock paper shotgun article, and this guy has sold like 500,000 games. I mean, they take him like 2 weeks to make, and he sells them for like. He sells them for 99 cents, most of the time on sale for 50% off. And the reason why he does it 50% off is because 50 cents is the lowest Valve will let you sell something for. So he sells most of his games at 50 cents, but they take him 2 weeks to make. But the thing is, I don't know if that I can do that stuff. And I feel like if you want to be running into this as a business, that's the kind of approach you need to be taking. All right, guys, I've been talking a lot. It's been 3.5 hours. Yeah, so like I said, I think the game is in a good spot, but look, there's a huge chance I can just be broke by the end, which, like I said, is not, I'm not being like, I'm going to get 50, right? Like, you don't want to get complacent. Yeah, I don't want to become complacent. And I want to be mentally prepared. So anyway, I got to sign off now. Let me see who else is streaming. I should make this one. I should put this. I should highlight this video. Yeah, and he also wasn't spending. I know it's Gray Alien, right? He also was not spending 5 years on one game, right? The whole thing he was talking about was like making these small games, like just changing the visuals and jumping in on that Christmas sale or jumping in on that Halloween sale. And like, that's the stuff you got to do. And to me, I'm like, I like it like self-expression, but if I'm just making games for the sake of like making money, like, I don't know, I'd rather do something else. Like, again, not saying that that's a bad approach. In fact, I think it's a necessary approach, but for me, it's not why I made Manifold Garden. I just don't think the model in which I made Manifold Garden can be easily replicated. All right, I'm going to host Triple Jump Games, and I will talk to you guys later. I'll probably be back on later tonight. See ya.